Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Going to do a very quick little video for you on how to make a recessed zipper panel to go inside a bag. I've got a bag video coming up where I've got the recessed panel in there, so I'm going to do a separate video just to show you how to do this panel. Stick around and we can work on this together. Okay, I'm going to use a future bag as an example. I have a piece of fabric here for my main bag that's 15.5 inches wide. And my lining fabric was cut at 15.5 inches wide as well. I've gone and boxed my corners on the lining just to show you how we go about working out what size your recessed zipper panel will be. Starting off with a 15.5 inch piece. Now you can apply this technique or this formula to any bag width or depth that you want. 15.5 inches. Take away my seam allowance of 1/4 inch on either side, brings the fabric down to 15 inches. I've decided that I want this bag to have a 1 inch boxed corner, and a 1 inch boxed corner will give me 2 inches in depth overall. So this is the side gusset here. I've got 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on that side, which gives me a 2 inch spread for the opening of my bag. That's at the bottom as well and on the other side. So my 15 inches all of a sudden brings my bag down to 13 inches. And that's the usable area that we have to put our zipper panel in. Now we don't want to put our zipper panel in and have it butted up right to the very edge. It gets a little bit cramped. I like to have mine probably about 1 inch in on either side. So given that, this 13 inches now comes down to 11 inches. Now this may seem a little bit confusing. I'm going to make it very, very simple for you in a minute, but I'm just explaining how I go about working out what size I need to have the panel. So you can do this yourself. So we start off with your fabric, take away your seam allowance, then take away the boxed corner that you want, and you're left with the finished width of your fabric. Once you're left with the finished width of your fabric, you want to have your recessed zipper panel about 1 inch shorter than the width of your fabric. We also need to add a fold over hem allowance on each end of your panel. So to simplify this whole thing, no matter what width your bag is, you take off 2.5 inches. And that's before we worry about boxed corners. So once you've taken off your 2.5 inches, you determine what size you want the boxing of your corners to be. So of that 2.5 inches that we're going to take off for our panel, we also want to take off the amount of our boxing. So if I have a 1 inch boxed corner, then that 2.5 inches becomes 3.5 inches. If I choose to have a 2 inch boxed corner, then I will take 2.5 inches off the overall, and then I'll also take two inches off that. So it becomes 4.5 inches. To work out the width of your panel, so say for example this one here has 1 inch boxing, gives me a 2 inch spread, so I need to have 2 inches worth of fabric in here, which includes the zip and the panel pieces. The easiest way to work this out is for every inch of boxing that you have, you add the width of the zipper teeth. So if I've got a 1 inch boxed corner here, I'm going to add 1/4 inch for this particular zip here. If I'm using a regular dress zip, just something with narrow teeth here, I'm going to have my 1 inch box plus 1/8 inch for the width of the zipper teeth. That will take into account seam allowances, top stitching, all of those things that we need to do. For this particular bag, I've got 15.5 inches minus 2.5 inches, and then I'm just going to take off another inch for the boxing, which will make it 12 inches. So I've cut my fabric out at 12 inches. As I said, I've got a 1 inch boxed corner, so I've cut my fabric at 1 inch plus the width of my zipper teeth. So my fabric is cut out at 1.25 inches by 12 inches. So then you would have 2 pieces each of your outer fabric and 2 pieces each of your lining fabric. I've put some adhesive tape just on the back of it, and we're going to fold the raw edges over by 1/2 inch. So I've folded that over, and I'll do the same for these. The raw edges of each of these tabs have been folded in by 1/2 inch underneath. When you're working out which end of the zip needs to be opened, you want to be really careful here. So the zipper, when we close it, will close with the curved edge toward our left, and to open the zip, it will open out toward our right. So when we open our zip, we're pulling away from the curved edge, and when we're closing our zip, we're closing it in the direction of the curved edge. When we place our zip on the tab, we want to open it from here out that way. So this is the side that we actually need to open out here and make our markings, and then flip our zipper edges over. Line up your zip and make a mark at 1 inch from the edge. What we can do then, you can open your zip out further if you want to. Where this line is here, you fold that down and then flip it out to the right. Pop a clip in, the zip comes up and around like that. And we can just stitch this closed. You can do that by hand with a needle and thread, or take it to the machine. And with this side, we're going to do exactly the same. So you're going to flip this forward at the fold line, pinch it together here, and then just fold that out. So you can see the top of the zip there, the curves come out nice and evenly, and we can tack or stitch that in place. I'll show you that again. Where that drawn line is, flip it down, pinch the edges together here, and then just flip that up. It's a little bit fiddly, or it looks fiddly, it's not really. I'll take that to the machine and quickly just tack that down on both sides. So the top section of my zip has been tacked down on both sides, and I can place that onto my zipper panel. And I'm going to use double-sided tape. It's a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about pins or clips being in the way. I'll run that right along the top edge there. When I place this zip down, I'm going to place it about 1/4 inch from the top edge here. Then I can take my lining piece and place that directly over the top. First of all, I will put some more tape down, and we'll place that directly over the top, making sure that we line up the edges on the side there. So I've got the edges of the tab lined up on the side. We're going to stitch right along to the very edge here, and just make sure that's lined up there as well. When that's been stitched, you can trim off the excess just here. We'll open that out, take this back to the machine. You can top stitch the short edge all the way along the edge of the zipper, and then back down here again as well. Okay, I've got one side of the tab done. What I have also done, I've just gone and stitched very close to the edge here, and that's just to keep the layers together so that it makes it easier when I'm actually making my bag later. But you don't have to do that. So I've stitched up here, along the top and down the side. Now we need to put our other tab on, and you want to make sure that lines up with the other side. Run some tape along that. Just make sure that lines up. The straight edge of this tab matches up with the straight edge of that one there. And the same at this end. The tabs will line up nicely there. And another row of tape for the lining. And we can line up our lining piece so that it matches as well. And you want to make sure it lines up with the edge of your fabric at the top here and at the other end. When you're happy with that, take it to the machine and we'll stitch that as well. And then once you're happy with that, trim off the excess, open that out. We can top stitch the side edge all the way along the zipper and down the other side. I've got a tab for the end of my zip, and that is 2 inches by 3 inches. On the short edge, I just want to run a little bit of tape just within the 1/4 inch there. And this will help me fold my edges in after. It'll just make it a little bit easier. So I can finger press that in place now, fold it right side together, take it to the machine, we'll stitch down these 2 edges here, and then we'll turn it the right way round. So I've got an opening just at the bottom there. I'm going to trim the corners And I'll turn this the right way around. And where I've popped that tape, because that tape is there, it's actually going to fold a lot easier for me. I'm going to fold it in to get rid of the raw edge. So I have a tiny little pocket there. I'll choose the best side, and then we'll place the zipper directly inside that. Even it out, and then take this back to the machine, stitch this section down here and all the way around, all four sides. And that's all there is to it. A recessed zipper panel to suit any size bag that you like. And they're not really that hard to do at all. If you'd like to see how this is actually installed into a bag, I'll pop a link to the video for the next bag just as soon as it's been released. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.